Hello and welcome to JewishTV.media. You'll recall from last time that we're speaking about joy, and I explained two advantages of joy. The first is that life is a constant battle between our godly souls and our animal souls, between the good within us and the bad within us. This is Midat Kol Adam, as the Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya. This is the destiny of every single person, to fight the internal battles which he has between the good in him and the bad in him, to struggle with himself and to come out on top. And we explained that just as when two people are fighting with each other, it's impossible for one person, no matter how strong he is, to overcome the other unless he has life, energy and enthusiasm. Similarly also in the battle of the soul, that without life, energy and enthusiasm, it's impossible for the godly soul to overcome the temptations and the urges of the animal soul. So that's the first reason to be joyful. The second reason to be joyful, we explained, is because Simcha is Poretz Geder. Simcha breaks down boundaries. Those of you who are a little familiar with Chabad will know that one of the famous tunes of the Chabad Rebbe's was Ufaratzta, and you shall break out. When a person's in a state of joy, he can do things that he couldn't imagine doing under normal circumstances. A person who's a miser, when he's celebrating the marriage of his children, he becomes the most generous person. A person who's got ill feelings, perhaps even hatred towards another, at a simcha, he hugs him, he dances with him, perhaps even kisses him. Simcha Poretz Geder, Simcha breaks down boundaries. You know, one of the most important elements of being human is that we're not the same today as we were yesterday. That tomorrow we're better than today. We're in a state of constant movement. We don't limit ourselves to the way we were. We constantly break new ground. We push the envelope. We go where no man has gone before, certainly where we haven't gone before. We become open to new people. We become open to new ideas. This openness is only possible when one is in a state of joy. When a person is in a state of sadness, we are, as the expression is in Yiddish, bakvetcht, or in Hebrew, mukuvatz. We're all kind of into ourselves, not open. When a person is happy, all of a sudden he opens up. Just like a smile opens up the face, happiness opens up the mind to other people, to other ideas. This is the second advantage of happiness. It enables us to move forward in many ways we couldn't imagine. The third advantage of happiness we've talked about now, and that is that the openness is not only to within ourselves, to new ideas, to new people, but the openness which is engineered through our joy actually impacts upon God. You know, God reflects down upon us, but we reflect towards Him. The second master of the Chassidic movement, his name was Rabbi Ber Mezerich, the follower and successor of the Baal Shem Tov. He said that there's a verse in the Torah which says, Tamare Adam Alav Milamala, which means as the impression of a person, so God shines upon him. If a person's sad, God shines upon the person sadness. If a person's happy, God shines upon the person happiness. But when a God is happy, just like we break through our boundaries, God breaks through His boundaries. You know, the way God instituted the world was that everything should be in a way of justice. What that means is that if I do good, I get good. If I do not so good, I get not so good. We call this in Hebrew Midat Hadin. The tribute of justice comes from Elokim, from God's holy name of Elokim. How many of us want God to act with us with Midat Hadin according to how much we really deserve? How many of us can say that we've really achieved what we were capable of achieving? How many of us can say that we've been as good as we are capable of being good? If God were to be able to react towards us the way we act, God forbid. We want God to be generous to us. We want God to be bountiful to us. We want God to break through the barriers that He set. How do we cause God to break through His barriers to give us even though we don't deserve? Kamare Adam, the way we reflect to God, Alav Milamala, God reflects back on us. If we're happy, then God's happy. And if God's happy, He gives us far more than we deserve. So let's be happy. Being sad is not an option. You know, there's a very famous story in the Gemara in Brachot where Rav Hamnuna noticed that Rav Yehuda ben Nosson sighed. And he said, this man wants to bring punishment upon himself. Why? Because if you express yourself with sighing, with sadness, God does so too. God closes Himself up to you. Express yourself with happiness and joy, God opens Himself up to us. So, Tahei b'simcha, be joyful. You'll break through the barriers of life, and you'll even break through God's barriers, so that God can give you all that He's capable of from His infinite and boundless fountain. Until next time, JewishTV.media.
JewishTV.media